Hello everybody, Sticks here with the Token Minorities, bringing you another deck on Pokemon TCGO, and at the request of, I don't know how to say the name, Joao Victor, I am bringing you a Mega Mewtwo Y, Garbodor, and Zebstrika deck in the new standard format. And before I get into the deck, just a reminder that if you like this video or found it helpful, please leave a like, drop a comment, and maybe subscribe. It helps us out a lot, and lets us do more for you guys. Now, as for the question of the day, I am very, very excited because I recently found out about the new Evolution set that's going to be released in, I think, November for the US. I mean, it's released September 16th for Japan, but we get it in November, so we will be able to see what type of new cards will be released. And basically, what it sounds like is the Evolution set is going to be a bunch of reprints of the original cards, like base set Charizard, base set Pikachu, and stuff like that. And I guess my question is, what card would you guys like to see most reprinted and power creeped? I mean, I know with the Gyarados, they're doing a thing where Gyarados now hits for 100 or 200 damage. I don't remember exactly what it was. But, like, basically they're taking the original artwork and then power creeping it so that it can actually succeed in the current metagames, which I'm super, super pumped about. If you had to ask me, I'm going to have to go with the cop-outest of cop-out answers and say base set Charizard. I am just absolutely psyched to see what they're doing with that thing. And also the fact that we will be getting Spirit Links for the starters, it looks like, as well, has me extra pumped too. So I'm really, really excited about that. And let me know what you guys are most excited about for Evolutions, and also what base set card you would like to see reprinted the most. But anyway, on to the deck. Like I said, this is centered around Mega Mewtwo EX. Now, this card was released in Breakthrough, so it has been legal into the last standard format. But unfortunately, with Night March, Mewtwo's weakness to Psychic really just completely hindered it and kept it from succeeding pretty much at all in the metagame, because all you need is 6 Night Marchers in the discard pile, and suddenly the Pumpkaboo is able to one-shot Mewtwo. And then, sorry, the fact that Mew was also released and was something that was used in Night March decks as well occasionally really just did not help Mega Mewtwo's case at all, and just kind of put the final nail in the coffin, so this guy never saw much play at all. But with the new rotation, this card I think will be very, very strong. On its own, I think this is probably one of the strongest cards in the entire game as it sits right now, because Psychic Infinity is absolutely absurd. 10 damage, plus 30 for each energy attached to both active Pokemon. And I mean, that's absolutely ridiculous. You can rack up damage so quickly with things like DCE, Mega Turbo, that type of thing. So Mega Mewtwo is going to be very, very, very strong in this upcoming format unless something else changes. Now, like I posted last week, Mega Rayquaza is also a deck that's going to be very, very strong. So this deck isn't just Mega Mewtwo. It's combining it with a couple other things that just makes the strategy centered around Mega Mewtwo that much stronger. And the first one is going to be Zebstrika to help take on the Rayquaza matchup with the Crashing Bolt attack, 50 plus 60 if your opponent's active Pokemon has a fighting resistance. So basically, if it has a fighting resistance, that means it's a flying type and thus is weak to lightning. So Zebstrika for a DCE can one-shot a Mega Rayquaza, and that helps with the matchup so much, because I mean, you have 2 Zebstrika, that immediately gets you 4 prizes right there, and then you should be able to take another 2 prizes on like a Shaman or something like that with your Mewtwo, etc. Now, we're also pairing this with Garbodor just to kind of disrupt our opponent's strategies, and a lot of things going on right now are reliant on abilities. I know for a fact that Vileplume is the only... Well, actually, do I know for a fact? Yeah, I think Vileplume's the only item lock. Well, I know it's the only viable item lock. I'm not sure if there's maybe a very unviable item lock that exists right now. But either way, Seismitoad, Trevenant, and Vileplume were the 3 biggest item locks in the most recent standard format. But now, Seismitoad and Trevenant have both been rotated out, leaving Vileplume as the only thing left. And even though it's kind of counterintuitive, because if your opponent gets a turn 1 Vileplume up, well, you're kind of not going to be able to play the Float Stone or anything like that onto the Garbodor to shut down abilities. But either way, Garbodor is great for shutting off your opponent's abilities and going from there. And one thing that I would like to mention is I am not playing any Hex Maniac in this deck. I'll get to that in a little bit, but just bear with me for now. Don't immediately click X and just exit out, because I do have a reason for not playing Hex Maniac in this deck. But anyway, on to the items. Well, I guess back to the Pokemon really quick. As you can see, I'm running 2 Shaman, 2 Zebstrika to help with the Rayquaza matchup, 3-3 of Mewtwo and Mega Mewtwo Y, and then 2-2 of Trubbish and Garbodor. Really just keep your options open and deal with whatever your opponent has going. This main strategy is around Mega Mewtwo, but you have 2 different lines of Pokemon that help support it in many different ways. On to the items finally. I'm running 2 Mega Turbo just to power up Mega Mewtwo a little bit faster or make its attacks hit harder. Mega Mewtwo doesn't need to be powered up very quickly, because you just slap a DCE on there and boom, it's powered up. Mega Turbo is mostly just for getting another 30 damage, getting 1 special charge in my deck, because the DCEs are oh so important, with Mega Mewtwo and Zebstrika both getting powered up in a single turn with 1 attachment. So they're very, very crucial to the strategy of the deck, and thus that's why we are running a special charge to get them back into the deck if we lose them. 1 Super Rod to really just get Pokemon back. I would like to run Sacred Ash to get more of these guys back, but Super Rod allows for the energies as well, and also gives you some Pokemon that you can put back in addition. Running 1 Switch just in case something gets Lysandered active that you don't want active. 3 Trainer's Mail to help with the consistency of the deck. 4 Ultra Ball to get everything out. 4 VS Seeker to reuse all of our supporters. And this supporter line, it's a very, very standard one that I'm running a little bit right now. This is kind of my go-to, but one thing that I did say earlier is I'm not running Hex Maniac right now, and at first that was because I thought that Garbotoxin would shut down abilities, and I'm kind of right. Garbotoxin does do the exact same thing as Hex Maniac, so you don't really need to play it, but one thing to definitely keep in mind is if Vileplume starts to make a run at the metagame and starts doing a lot better and is used in a lot more top tier decks, you definitely want to run the Hex Maniac in this deck to be able to play that down, then put the tool on Garbodor to shut down the item lock and go from there. So it's really really you don't need Hex Maniac right now, because Vileplume isn't omnipresent like it was, but it's definitely a good tech to have if Vileplume decides to rise in popularity again and people start running more of those decks, because I can definitely see Vileplume rising in usage and rising in power just because it's the only item lock strategy right now. And a turn 1 item lock is absolutely absurd, especially if you go first. So that's just something to keep in mind, that for the time being, I'm not running a Hex Maniac because I have not seen Vileplume on the versus ladder at all. But once that thing starts getting used more, definitely run a Hex Maniac. That way you have 1 turn to slap a Floatstone or a Spirit Link onto Garbodor to activate Garbotoxin and shut down Vileplume's abilities for good. So just keep that in mind and adapt to the metagame. Right now, the metagame is in a state where you don't need it, and also this deck is just very reflective of how the game state currently is. Because when you have 1 powerful attacker, you have something to take on the deck that is deemed the biggest threat to it, and that is Mega Rayquaza. And then you have something that shuts down abilities and disrupts your opponent, because Pokemon is so ridiculously ability reliant now that shutting down your abilities with Garbodor is huge. One thing I would also like to mention as a possibility is running a Wally. That way you can get the first turn ability lock with Garbodor if you get the right cards. But I'm not running that in this deck just because I think there's no real need for the turn 1 ability lock anyway. It definitely can help and it can completely shut down Rayquaza, but Zebstrika is good enough of a counter in the matches that I have played against it, so you don't really need that ability lock turn 1. But that's just an option that I want to make sure that I point out for you guys that you are able to use. And then as for the stadiums, I'm running 3 Shrine of Memories because we are using the Damage Change Mewtwo. Just kind of a nice little tech. If Mega Mewtwo gets damaged, you can Damage Change with Shrine of Memories to get all the damage off and completely heal it. 2 Floatstone for the Garbodor. You can definitely run 3. I just ran 2 because I was running short on space in this deck, because I like the 7 energy. Running 6 is just a little too few in my opinion. but definitely tinker with the tool line for yourself. 3 Spirit Link because we're running 3 Mega Mewtwo, 4 DCE, want to run the absolute max number because all of our Pokemon function off of that, and then 7 Psychic Energy so that we can use the damage change. But anyway, I'm done rambling. Let's just go ahead and see this deck in action. Alrighty, we have found one against the Panch 01 or Q1. I don't know. I can't read. I'm illiterate. And it looks like we are running up against a pure Psychic deck. And honestly, in the past format, if I would have seen the Psychic and normal deck, I would have immediately assumed Trevenant. But in this format, we don't have to worry about Trevenant anymore. So the fact that we are going second is not the worst thing in the world. We'll have to mulligan, a bit unfortunate, but I mean, I have the cards I need. I don't really have to worry about it. Well, I mean, I guess I don't have the cards I need. Obviously, I didn't draw them, but hopefully I don't start with something too bad, and I actually start with something pretty darn awesome, because, I mean, I have the Ultra Ball, I have Sycamore, I have a DCE, I have a Spirit Link, and all my opponent starts with a Talonflame. That is great for my opponent, but very, very, very annoying for me, because then he'll be able to Aero Blitz, just start getting all the cards he needs, and go from there. Do we see... I don't know what... I'm not sure what my opponent is running just yet. But okay, we see the Hoopa. So, this is probably... Okay, this is probably a Mega Mewtwo deck, I guess? Well, I mean, I can't think of why else you would run... Okay, it might be a Mega Alakazam deck as well, which is a definite possibility. I don't know. I'm not sure how that card would be. I think it'd be okay. Okay, so this is 100% confirmed to be a Mega Mewtwo Y deck. And we even see... You know what? I'm honestly more of a fan of the full art rather than the Secret Rare Mewtwo. I think it just looks a lot cooler. It's a lot like the Volcanion from Steam Siege. I think the regular art looks a lot cooler than the Secret Rare. And okay, that does not apply at all for the Gardevoir from Steam Siege, because that is easily the sickest card I have ever seen. But you know what? It's okay. I go with the arts that I prefer, and I do think that this Mewtwo is a lot cooler than the Secret Rare Mewtwo. I mean, it does have the other one does have the Secret Rare factor, which makes it kind of cool. And oh, sweet. Even start off with the Trubbish, it's not going to help me that much. But what I can do is go ahead and play down the Mega Mewtwo. Oh, play down the DCE and the Spirit Link Ultra Ball to grab. Yeah, you know what? Let's go ahead and grab a Hoopa. Probably going to grab a Shaman, another Mewtwo, and a Mega Mewtwo, I think. I don't think Blitzel will be doing much this match. Actually, yeah, let's go ahead and just grab 2 more Mewtwo instead of the Shaman, because I want to save it for when I need draw power later in the game. And I could Sycamore, but you know what? I mean, I have a good enough setup. I'll be able to knock out this Talonflame in one shot. I think I'm just going to go for that at this point. So yeah, that was a pretty good turn 1 for us. Unfortunately, we were not able to attack, but that's not a big deal. My opponent will be getting a Mega Mewtwo powered up in the background, so I have to be careful about how much energy I put on my Mega Mewtwo. I think 6 between us is the magic number to not get knocked out, and that's why I discarded my Shrine of Memories, because it looked like my opponent was playing it as well, so that was just Ultra Ball fodder at that point. And I even have another spot for a Shaman, so my opponent will be able to get 40 damage on my Mewtwo with the Talonflame, but okay, what's he gonna grab? I kind of wish I had N at this point and I didn't discard that, because then I could end my opponent out of the 2 cards he needed. But okay, so I do get the Super Rod, which... Bad time to draw the Super Rod when there's absolutely nothing to Super Rod back in, but then I can just go ahead and Ultra Ball, play the energy on, or not the energy, the Spirit Link onto the Mewtwo. So I can knock out this Talonflame. Yeah, I'm just going to go ahead and actually knock out the Talonflame and then Shaman for 2. I'm going to save the special charge. I mean, I obviously can't play it right now. I'm going to save it till next turn once my Mewtwo probably gets knocked out. But what I can do is actually go ahead and Ultra Ball to get another Mega Mewtwo up, or even a Garbodor. It's just really... I think I'm just going to go for the Mewtwo at this point, because Garbodor really isn't going to be doing much in this match. And I regret playing the Trubbish a little bit, but that was before I saw all that my opponent was playing, and if I was able to get a Garbodor out, then I would have been able to attack with it. and go from there. But okay, my opponent, I mean, there's no way he won't be able to knock out my, what? Why is he going in? Oh, I guess Hoopa has the float stone, so I was about to say, there's no way he's not going to be able to knock me out, because all he needs is 1 energy, the Spirit Link, and the Mega Mewtwo, and he Arrow Blitzed for 2 cards, so unless my opponent just didn't grab the Mewtwo or something, the Mega Mewtwo or the Spirit Link or something like that, then, okay, so yeah, we see the energy, we see the Spirit Link, and then there is the Mega Mewtwo. So my Mega Mewtwo is going to go down to the Psychic Infinity, but we're just going to have to go from there at this point. One nice thing is that Psychic Infinity actually does not factor in weakness, so if I go into my, if I just go into my Shatter Shot Mewtwo, or actually, you know what, screw it, I'm just going to go for my Mega Mewtwo. Maybe if I can get a Mega Turbo off or something like that, a couple Mega Turbos, I can knock out this Mewtwo in 1 shot. Play the Shaman down. I need a DCE and then 2 Mega Turbo to knock out this Mewtwo, but if I can get those, then I'm just going to be in a phenomenal position, because my opponent doesn't have anything else going right now. And okay, we get nothing, but what I can do is just go ahead and set up the Garbodor with Garbotoxin to shut off all abilities. See if I can get a Mega Turbo. No. Well, that's unfortunate. So I think I should have just gone into my Shatter Shot Mewtwo. I will be able to get good damage off on my opponent's Mewtwo with my Mega Mewtwo, and if he does take this out, I will be able to go into my Shatter Shot Mewtwo and knock him out. So it's kind of bad, because I'll be down to 1 attacker left at the end of this turn, and oh man, my opponent's going to be able to get, geez, he's able to get another Mega Mewtwo up, so that's pretty scary to be staring down. And one nice thing is my opponent has to attach energy to his active Mega Mewtwo in order to knock me out, so I will be able to knock him out in revenge next turn, and I'm actually not in too horrible of a situation. In fact, he doesn't, well, he does need he needs another DCE, and he needs to attach that DCE to the active Mewtwo in order to knock my Mega Mewtwo out. So that very well might just put him at kind of a standstill in terms of what he's able to draw and play. Luckily he doesn't have the damage change right now, and if he did, well, then that'd make me cry a little bit. But either way, I'm in a good position. My opponent just Ultra Balls for nothing? Huh, that was weird. But either way, like I said, he needs a DCE to knock me out, which I don't necessarily think he has right now. Otherwise, oh, he has it. Oh, he must have just been contemplating whether to play it or not. But at this point, my opponent only has 3 cards. Admittedly, we are down to 2 prizes. Well, my opponent's down to 2 prizes, which means he only has to take the knockout on the Mewtwo that I'm putting active in order to win. But I will be able to end him down to 2 at this point. And I'll be able to knock out this Mega Mewtwo with my Shatter Shot and go from there. So regular Mewtwo very well just might come through. And oh, there's a Mega Turbo. That's a little late. But yeah, I mean, I'll just be able to Shatter Shot for 60 damage, but that's just enough. Knockout my opponent's Mega Mewtwo. My opponent will not be able to Shaman at all because of the Garbodor I have set up. And then I can just end next turn if my opponent somehow gets more cards. I can even Lysander in my opponent's Mega Mewtwo and hit it for some good damage. And okay, we see the Mega Turbo. This is scary. Hopefully my opponent didn't draw anything good, because, oh, good. Oh, that's awesome. And what I can't even do is go ahead and, darn it. So I wish I had the last Spirit Link in the Mega Mewtwo, because then I would have been able to Mega Turbo attach the DCE, although he would have only been at 6. So, you know what? I think I'm just going to go ahead and, so do I want to attach the regular Psychic Energy? I think I'm going to go ahead and do that. Yeah, because if my opponent, even if he has the DCE in hand, he will not be able to one-shot my Mewtwo next turn, because there's only 5 energy, and I'm just going to try to knock out this Mega Mewtwo with Shatter Shot. And yeah, Shatter Shot's coming through, and N, as much as I don't like it, it did come through this game for me. I will admit, I still don't like it. I think that my opponent had a much better setup. But, I mean, the N was able to come through for me. He was able to turn a 5-2 deficit into a, well, okay. Oh, my opponent only has N. He doesn't even have Sycamore. So he's going to end himself back down to 2. I guess he kind of has to go for that. at this point. Just try to see if he can draw something, because if he draws a Mega Turbo and a DCE, I just lose. And it looks like my opponent didn't draw anything at all, so we're actually able to come back. And despite this deck being centered around Mega Mewtwo, regular Mewtwo was able to come through and win that game for us. So thank you, N and regular Mewtwo. You kind of saw how the deck was supposed to work. I mean, you play Garbodor so your opponent isn't able to use Shaman later in the game to be able to use its ability, and then you just Mega Mewtwo, try to power it up, and just plow through your opponent's team. So we were able to come through in the mirror match thanks to the weakness hitting with the regular Mewtwo as opposed to the Mega Mewtwo who can't hit for weakness. But anyway, that was a cool first match. Let's just go ahead and try to find another one. Alrighty, we have found another one against Silver Leafeon, and okay, it looks like we're gonna be up against a like the Darkrai Giratina deck, which actually might work very, very, very well for us, because while that will be one of the top decks in the meta, the fact that Garbodor will shut off the abilities by the Giratina's ability, so that Mega Mewtwo will be able to actually, I think, yeah, Mega Mewtwo will be able to one-shot it, assuming it doesn't have a Pokemon, the Fighting Fury Belt attached. And okay, so this is a Garbodor Giratina deck, so so because I have the special charge, I'm going to be less weary about discarding the whatchamacallit, the DCE, but it looks like our Hoopa is prized. That is very unfortunate. What I'm going to have to do is just go ahead and play my hand down as much as possible, grab a Shaman, get that set up, and you know what? Even though my opponent has a Trubbish out, I think I still might go for it anyway, just because that's what because my opponent has a Trubbish out, I think I might go for my own. Well, not right now. I'm obviously just going to grab a Shaman right now, but I'm thinking that I might want to set up my own Trubbish just in case my opponent sees what's going on and decides that it's not in his best interest to set up his own Trubbish, so I can just have mine going instead. And okay, I get an N. I'm glad I got the N, because I do not want to discard anything that I had. I'm going to go ahead and play the Tool onto Blitzel. I love that you don't have to worry about Headringer or Startling Megaphone or anything like that in this current metagame, just because, I mean, those all got rotated out. And I even get the Spirit Link, which was what I was really fishing for. I have another DCE that I can play onto my Mewtwo on the bench, go for a Mega Mewtwo, and go from there. So it was actually a very, very good start for us. I wish I would have gotten a Trubbish out, but you know what, that's okay, ish. Okay, my opponent Parallel Cities, and that actually just lets me get rid of a Shaman. Thank you for that. It'll give me more spots. And okay, we do see the Fighting Fury Belt, and my opponent just ends. Ugh, man, I liked my hand. Oh well. I mean, it's not a big deal, because I'll still get 6 cards. In fact, I'll get more cards. But, oh, you know what, I can... Yeah, I can work with this. I will be able to play the Spirit Link down, evolve into the Zebstrika, and then just N. So my opponent does get the Giratina going, and this is exactly why I love Garbodor right now, because he thinks he's going to be able to stop me based on the fact that Giratina is has the ability that it cannot be damaged by Mega Pokemon. But once I get my Garbodor set up, and oh my gosh, this is actually probably the single perfect matchup for this deck. Let's go ahead and play the Zebstrika on there, play the Energy onto the Mewtwo, play the Spirit Link down, and then N. But now Zebstrika can actually one-shot a Fighting Fury belted Yveltal EX with its Crashing Bolt. So I mean, this is a perfect matchup. I can go ahead and play the Trubbish down there, go for the Floatstone onto it, and unfortunately, I actually did not get a Mega Mewtwo, which is something I really, really wanted, and I would have been able to knock out the Trubbish this turn, but I mean, just as well, my opponent's Trubbish isn't going to be doing much for me anyway. If anything, that's going to be a relatively dead prize, because it looks like my opponent's just going to play a bunch of EXs from this point on, so could take the prize on Trubbish, but I don't think it's that big of a deal. And oh my god, that was a perfect hand. So my opponent is just going to go ahead and Escape Rope. What do I want to go into? So you know what? Even though he will probably be able to get a hit off on this Mewtwo, he cannot one-shot it. And if he has the Double Dragon, he'll be able to get 110 damage, which he does. So that'll be a pretty big blow. But I mean, my hand is just so perfect right now. I have definitely enough energy to knock out the Giratina EX with Psychic Infinity at this point, and what I can even do is, oh right, I can't play Special Energy, oops. You know what, I'm gonna play another Trubbish down just in case he Lysanders one of mine in, and I'll probably just play a Spirit Link onto it or something like that. And then let's go ahead and I think end that way. I can keep my DCE maybe? Yeah, I think I'm just going to end to keep my DCE. It'll give my opponent a new hand. But, oh, look, there we go. We go ahead and get the regular Psychic Energy that I can go ahead and play onto my Mewtwo. I have the DCE for the next turn if I want to play that on the Zebstrika if my opponent is able to knock out my Mega Mewtwo with the Yveltal. But there we go, Garbodor coming through, Mega Mewtwo coming through, one-shotting Giratina EX, and this is a reason I think the deck is so good, is because like I'm able to do stuff like that where I'm able to just one-shot Giratina, I'm able to one-shot Yveltal. If my opponent's Darkrai gets set up enough, I'll be able to one-shot it as well with relative ease. Okay, my opponent plays the Fighting Fury Belt onto the Yveltal. Oh man, my opponent just ends. What I could have done is just Lysandered in the Yveltal, switched, retreated into my Zebstrika and knocked it out in one shot. But, I mean, we're still in a pretty decent position. I mean, we have a Mega Mewtwo active with 3 energy. My opponent doesn't have any energy yet. We even get another energy, and there's the Enhanced Hammer. That's gross. Well, I mean, of course, you can splash Enhanced Hammer in anything, right? That's what we learned. But, alright, so I'm going to have to end this turn, but what I can just go ahead and do is take the knockout on the Trubbish, because we do see the Yveltal come down on the bench. So this prize on the Trubbish can actually be somewhat significant if I'm able to Lysander in the Yveltal later in game. But there we go. Oh, that actually works very, very nicely, because I'll have a Psychic Infinity for next turn, almost guaranteed if my opponent doesn't get rid of my hand. And you know what, I'm just going to go ahead and Chattershot. I mean, might as well use Shrine of Memories while I can. If I had another energy, I would have damage changed, but unfortunately, I did not. I wish, if I had had a single energy in the discard pile, I would have been able to damage change onto the Trubbish because I had the Mega Turbo. And okay, this is... Yveltal is going to be able to hit me for a good amount of damage, and what I can do is try to go fishing for the DCE with my Zebstrika, or I can just go for guaranteed damage onto the Yveltal with the Psychic Infinity. So, first off, I'm just gonna Mega Turbo. Like that's a given. Mega Turbo, get energy onto the Mewtwo, and then I'm gonna Sycamore, fish for that DCE because I will be able to one-shot the Yveltal, and I do not get it. That is bad, but I mean, I can get up to 3 energy onto my Mega Mewtwo, which actually won't do anything. I'm playing the Garbodor down in case I can get the Spirit Link. I mean, I'm kind of regretting playing the Trubbish a little bit, just because that could be a problem later in the game if my opponent's able to Lysander that up. But for the time being, I'm going to attach the regular energy onto the Zebstrika, just so I can guarantee to have an attack later, whether I draw a DCE or a regular Psychic Energy. Going to go ahead and Super Rod back in 2 Mewtwo's, and, Mewtwo, Mewtwo, Blitzel, and Zebstrika. And while I could Mega Turbo, I kind of want to save that in case I get the Mewtwo on the bench powered up in one way or another. I mean, basically, the Mega Turbo wouldn't have done much for me at all. And I kind of want to save it for next turn if I want to just retreat my Mewtwo into my Zebstrika and then Mega Turbo onto the bench. That way I can still have some energy in play and on my Mewtwo to attack if I need it. And my Mewtwo is actually completely fresh right now, and this is great. So 110 damage onto the Mewtwo. Not a big deal. Oh man, that was not what I wanted to draw. Oh, I put the Zebstrika and the Blitzel back into my deck so I wouldn't have to worry about drawing into them. And yeah, I'm just gonna go ahead and Sycamore. It gets rid of them, which sucks, but ooh, I can even get another Mega Mewtwo powered up, so that is great. Go ahead and get that guy down there if I need it. Go ahead and retreat manually. I think, yeah, manually retreat into my Zebstrika. to go ahead and play the DCE onto it. I mean, yeah, I'm getting rid of another energy. I mean, I'm giving it too much energy, one energy too much, but I will be able to Crashing Bolt, go ahead and knock out that Eviltal and be one prize away from winning the game, and there we go. Okay, there's the stupid Hoopa. That thing was annoying. But either way, okay, so 1 DCE in the discard pile, 1 DCE in play, meaning that means I have 2 left. Even if my opponent Lysanders the Garbodor, I have 2 DCEs to where I'd be able to manually attach and retreat, but for the time being, I think I'm just going to try to damage that Darkrai as much as possible with Psychic Infinity. Yes, it will allow my opponent to knock out my Mewtwo, but at the same time, I want to get enough damage on it to where I just need chip damage on anything. I mean, Zebstrika will be able to one-shot both the Shaman and the Eviltal, or any Eviltal EX my opponent decides to put down. And Mega Mewtwo I can use to knock out the Darkrai. I want to make sure that Darkrai is in range of being knocked out by one of my Mega Mewtwo's. So this is what a fully set up board for me looks like, and this deck is actually working very, very, very well. My opponent actually will not be able to get the knockout on the Zebstrika. Awesome. So he wasn't able to get enough in play. What I am just going to go ahead and do is, I draw the switch a turn too late. I could have used the energy on the Mewtwo right now. Actually, if I had the 2 energy on it, I would have just been able to manually attach and win the game. And I'm not going to use the switch right now because, I mean, I have the free treat. I just kind of want to, you know what, I am just going to do it in case my opponent ends. I want to burn as many cards as possible, get the bad cards out of my deck. Okay, I see the 2 DCE, I see the Trainer's Mail. Okay, I am just fine. Let's go ahead and Psychic Infinity. I don't want to Sycamore because that would actually make me lose the game. Psychic Infinity, put Darkrai in range of a DCE on my Mega Mewtwo on the bench, winning the game, because I can just Sycamore into the last DCE, or one of the last 2 DCEs in my deck, and win the game from there. If that's the route my opponent decides to go with knocking out this Mega Mewtwo and going and, you know, just trying to take prizes that way. But I think either way, I'm in a good enough position. I mean, heck, even if my opponent does Lysander up the Garbodor, I have the 2 DCEs to be able to bring it active and then retreat. And luckily, Garbodor isn't bulky enough to where it can take too many hits. So, I mean, my opponent can technically just decide to, I guess, stall if he has an Enhanced Hammer, and then I wouldn't have enough energy. But at this point, I don't think he would. Oh, well, there we see the Lysander. So, well, glad I've gone through all these scenarios and figured out what I need to figure out to win the game. My opponent is going to power up the Darkrai to where it will be able to, like, potentially just Lysander in the Mewtwo and knock it out. But I'm gonna force my opponent's hand right here. I'm gonna play the Psychic Energy onto the Garbodor because I know I have 1 left in my deck. And what I can do next turn is just Sycamore into it and go from there. So my opponent only has 1 card as well. I'm hoping it's not an N or something like that, because right now I have the game on lock. Okay, yep, I win. Because my opponent just Oblivion Wings, gets another energy onto the Darkrai, or actually goes onto the Shaman. I guess maybe wanting to go for a Sky Return. Oh, I even draw into the other DCE, so I was able to top deck those, which, I mean, it was convenient, but, I mean, I just went ahead and Sycamore to show my opponent that I had the outs I needed to win the game. Manually retreat into my Zebstrika, go for the Crashing Bolt to knock out the Eviltal and win the game. So Zebstrika actually, I mean, literally everything in this deck worked, and I got to showcase exactly how this deck works, and there wasn't a single card that I wasn't able to use to great effect. Heck, I could have even played the Ranger to attach the DCE when my opponent played that, or hit me with that Chaos Wheel. So yeah, that is the deck, guys. I mean, Zebstrika, Garbodor, and Mega Mewtwo are very, very powerful. I think this will be one of the top decks to contend with in the current format. But, I mean, of course, the format is very, very young. There are relatively few sets that you have to choose from. And so, I mean, a few decks are going to shine, and some strategies will develop, and I'm excited to see how this meta develops, and I hope you guys are too. So, thank you very much for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, all of that stuff. And this is Styx, signing out. Why not? See you guys.